said something about
And welcome to episode 2 of season 4 of JMU Sound Off. I am Jonathan McNamara. Today's conversation is going to take a look at the defensive unit for JMU football. After last week's conversation, we went in depth looking at the offensive side of the football. We're also going to have a conversation with JMU Athletic Director Matt Roan off the top of the show to get into some of the exciting things coming to Bridgeforth Stadium in 2025. But before that, we wanted to recognize our sponsors who make this show possible, starting with our friends at Champions Drive Bourbon. You see the 3 bottles behind me off to the right. Champions Drive now available in ABC stores, select ones across the state of Virginia. You can find a bottle near you at virginia.abc.gov. Again, every purchase goes to support James Madison University's pursuit of champions. And this is a perfect time to stock up as tailgates are only 13 days away. Also want to recognize our friends from the Dead Meat Society. If you're looking to take your grilling and tailgating game to the next level, then the Dead Meat Society is for you. They are going to be recognizing some of the top tailgaters from across JMU Nation this season, so stay tuned for that. Also got some exciting giveaways from Jake Coons and the team. Also want to recognize Where's Woody, a new product line coming out from Where's Woody that you're going to want to see in the coming days. Stay tuned to our social channels for information about that. Remember, for 48 hours after every JMU Sound Off broadcast, you can get 25% off the entire store at where'swoody.com. Also want to recognize our friends from Outdoor Kitchen Creations. If you're looking to bring your outdoor space to the next level, they can help you out with that. Outdoor Kitchen Creations, great friend and a new sponsor to JMU Sound Off. Also want to recognize Shoker Enterprises as well as Your Purple Nation, now with a store in Midlothian, Virginia. So if you're somewhere in Virginia, chances are there's going to be a store that is close to you. So thank you to all of our sponsors. But right off the top of the show today, we want to get to our conversation with JMU Athletic Director Matt Roan about some of the exciting things coming to Bridgeforth Stadium in 2025. Matt, thanks for taking some of your Sunday with us. I know you got a busy schedule. Thanks for also singing happy birthday on our little social thing that we did a couple of weeks ago with Coach Chesney. You and Mallory, very gracious, showing off their vocal talents. I was going to ask you, though, did you know your basketball coach had such a great voice? And this is something I have a feeling you've probably seen before, whether it's in karaoke or maybe just in the hallways of the AUP at the Athletic Union Bank Center. He tends to find a way to make everyone know that, yeah, I can sing.
Well, you're being very generous talking about vocal talent with me.
Well, remember,
right,
I didn't give you any notice. I gave you 0 notice. So
Mallory certainly she carried that for us. But no, I was envious of everybody who participated. They had much better voices than I did. I did not know that Preston had that in him. I've seen him lip sync. I've seen him do a little bit of karaoke, but kind of doing what he did right there, I was impressed. And I hear he's a great dancer going back to last year, but I still think I got better feet than that guy.
I've heard from his wife he likes to sing the Backstreet Boys. So there's a fundraiser there. There's a fun marketing campaign, some way to get that into all of our lives and see what, hey, we're all multi-talented. We all do different things. Matt, you guys put out some exciting stuff this week about some of the new things coming to Bridgeforth Stadium in 2025, whether it was the roundup that's happening at the bookstore, the new Philly cheesesteak, the Champions cheesesteak that's going to give a percentage of that to our ability to enhance our student experience in JMU athletics. I just wanted to hear from you, your approach to looking for new and creative ways to generate revenue with this program. I know that was something from day one you committed to doing, and something that you said would really be a key to the success of this program, the sustainability of it. Just kind of give us insight into how these types of things have come about, and how excited you are for fans to be able to experience it in just 13 days.
Yeah, I think it goes all the way back to certainly the end of last year, right? I think our staff, our leadership team here is always very receptive to the experience and the communication that you and fans provide us, right? We're always looking for ways to improve that, and we don't have all the ideas, right? And so we're open to new ideas, no matter where those come from. And I will say that it's a great kind of place to be in when you can operate from a position of strength. We're not trying to overhaul. We're trying to just make more perfect an already great game day experience, from parking lot and tailgating all the way up through the MRDs, concluding with that post game performance. And so, for us, with those two things really in mind, there's a lot that we were able to add this year. And so, building upon last year with the introduction of the two cabana suites in the northwest corner of the stadium, to have the opportunity to have 4 fill level suites in the south end zone. That's going to make, I think, as you can see right there, that space look better and just add a different element than what we've been accustomed to. On the east side of the stadium in sections 4 and 5, to have new premium mesh style chairback seats with the bar rails in between it, hawking service of being able to be available. Last night at the scrimmage, it was really cool to be able to look up and to see people with their drinks and their belongings on those spaces. Just added a different element to it. I said I love what we've done, or I really like what we've done in the south end zone, but I love what we've done on the east side. Obviously some parking tweaks there just to go along with best practice and utilizing our resources as much as we possibly can. You mentioned the cheesesteak, you mentioned the Roundup program. I'm very, very pleased that there's a couple things that we're still leaving for a soon to be announced update to you all that I think is going to make people really, really excited, kind of giving you a hint of just kind of respecting, again, the traditions of this place, but also doing something that's super. And so you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here in a few weeks when we can announce those two things. But I think, just even this past week, one of the highlights is to be the first in the Commonwealth and the first under the Learfield banner to have a Phil logo sponsor. And I'm mostly pleased, incredibly pleased with the fact that ours, yes, we love all of our sponsors, just like, Sound Off does, right? We rely on them so much, but to be able to do this with an on-campus entity highlighting a tremendous program, a tremendous school, and the leadership with Nick Swartz in that space, really, really pleased with the partnership that JMU Athletics and SBCE have now moving forward.
Yeah, and you got a lot of national attention for the announcement of the sponsorship as well, which, again, just is another opportunity to highlight the great things that are happening in Harrisonburg, and that's that front porch of the university in action. I wanted to also ask you, because you put out really a challenge to the fan base in the spring about why it was so important to sell out season tickets, to create an intimidating atmosphere inside Bridgeforth Stadium, but to send a message that the demand is there for this program. And with one of the most exciting schedules that I can think of, either in recent history, but maybe in the history of the program, with a school like Washington State coming to town, App State, ODU, these are big name programs, our rivals in the Sun Belt Conference, as well as a program in Washington State that has national recognition. Selling out those games matters. What message is that sent to you, and why is it so important, with there still being some select single game tickets available, that we get those out of the way, get those sold, so that we can say, hey, we sold out 6 for 6 inside Bridgeforth Stadium and made it a sellout for the entire season, because that matters.
No, it does. And you hit the nail on the head with one of probably the most important things is just that competitive environment, right? 25,000 people, loud, standing up, being engaged. It makes it really, really hard for people to come in here and compete. We don't just want to sell out 6 for 6. You want to win 6 of 6, right? You hope that by winning 6 of 6, it gives you the opportunity to host that 7th and even beyond.
Yeah.
Financially for us, it does move the needle. As we sell more tickets, those are dollars that we can invest in our program, and not just our football program, but we become a better athletics department in that way. We all know it's not a prerequisite, Jonathan, to say, hey, we can only expand the stadium if we sell out 6 of 6, but it makes it a whole lot more appetizing, right? And it makes the case statement much more strong to be able to say, hey, we're having to turn students away, which we never want to do. We do have a wait list for premium spaces. We are having people that, if we could expand that capacity, that's that much more that we can get in there. And those are dollars, again, that we can invest back in our program. But I think in a lot of ways too, it just sends a message. We are an elite football program. Elite football programs sell out. Elite football programs have hostile, intimidating home environments. And for us, you've heard me say before, there's nothing been major about this place. I think this place is without a label. There's not a lot of people who are like JMU. There's not a lot of people who sell out 6 for 6 home games. And I think that puts us in elite company with the best programs in America, and we're proud to be in that.
Well, and every time you make one of those announcements that, either there's a new sponsorship or there's a sellout notification, you see the major reporters in college football, the Chris Vaninis of the world,
Yep.
the guys who cover this every day on a national level are taking notice of what's happening in Harrisonburg, and they're spreading that out to a massive audience. And when you add that to things like, getting Duke Dog and EA college football this year and the streamers, it's just an upward trajectory that this program has been on for many, many years. But since you've gotten to town, you put your own personal stamp on it and are taking it to the next level. And I know with you and getting a chance to interact with you as much as I have, I know you're a big person about bringing it back to the broader team. And there's a lot of people that are hard at work, not just on the football side, but in all sports, who have fall campaigns and that are prepping and preparing to put the student athletes in the best possible position for success. But there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are doing incredibly important work right now, whether it's in the SID teams, if it's in facilities, that people that are going to make those cheesesteaks to sell. The bookstore's got to be stocked up. I just want to give you an opportunity to say thank you to the staff, the volunteers, everyone who comes together to make game days in Harrisonburg, no matter what the sport is possible, because I know you couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, I consider myself incredibly lucky. I always say I get to be the conduit to people's passion, right? I get to be the mouthpiece for the work that we do here. But what you see, what you feel on a game day, it's the product of an incredibly talented leadership team that I'm surrounded with on a daily basis inside of athletics. And, Jeff Poglace, our deputy AD, Ty Phillips, Melissa Wyant, Kevin Warner and Chris Brooks, you mentioned those two. Scooter Rinkin with the Duke Club, Brad Burgess in ticket sales, Mike Chapman with sports properties, obviously Matt Transu and the role that he plays inside of football. But you're right. I mean, from strength coaches to, sports medicine staff, equipment staff. Matt and I were even talking. There's something that I might want to do this fall. I think I want to take Diesel Duke to Marshall. My dad drove a truck for a living.
Nice.
That's something that I want to do this year. But there's just so many people who make not just game day, right, but every day inside of athletics go. And we are very, very fortunate to have the team that we do. We're very fortunate to have, again, you mentioned Aramark and the bookstore, but IT support, campus police, right? You have so many people, so many campus partners that make our game day really the envy of the country, I think.
Well, and now you have a new president who's on campus, who's been, starting to find his voice, and he consistently seems to highlight athletics as well. So that has got to be a great sign to have a president who is invested and engaged in the success of this program. I just want to give you an opportunity to talk about why that matters and what your initial interactions have been with him, because I know he's had experience at his past stops, seeing the benefits that college athletics can have. It's got to feel great to have a partner who is as invested as he is in the success of athletics.
No, it absolutely does. And it's reassuring. It's confidence building that, again, there's not going to be this really learning curve. But instead, I used this phrase the other day with our university welcome back, is that our foot is on the gas. And I think with him, he's pouring gas in the car, right? We're going to keep this thing going. And, his experience at Eau Claire, he built the 8th largest indoor in the country. And when I say that, I mean all levels of football, right? That's not the 8th largest Division III indoor facility. It's the 8th largest across college football, and I think even including pro football. They built a basketball arena that I think was ranked the top D3 basketball facility in the country. And so he understands the importance of facilities. He understands the importance of, and I heard him say this to our football program the other day, that our role is to equip, to resource, to build the infrastructure that allows our coaches to coach and our players to play, which is really this philosophy that I subscribe to. And it's a word that's, somewhat overused maybe in college sports and on college campuses, but just that alignment, right? For us to have the alignment from our board to our president, certainly the division heads, our leadership team on campus, to the alignment between our coaches, our staff, our student athletes inside of the department on a daily basis. When everybody's pulling the rope in the same direction, special things can be accomplished. And I've said that over and over. We have alignment with our fans, right? And that's rare. We have a very passionate fan base that is supportive and are looking for reasons to say yes, right? To give more, to come in and fill up those 6 stadiums. So we've got a special thing going here, and it's just our hopefully opportunity, and our passion is to make that even stronger.
Well, and if there's a theme that goes through all of them that I've appreciated, and you're demonstrating it in real time today, is accessibility and approachability. Is you're somebody who's on a podcast on a Sunday talking to fans. I've seen our new president obviously doing some creative ways to engage. You have, as you mentioned earlier, Preston Spradlin singing "Happy Birthday" and karaoke on a podcast on a Friday. We've seen some creative things with Coach Chesney making himself available, and there's just a new, stronger bond between the staff and the people who make it up at JMU Athletics and the fan base. And that's the type of things that have buy-in in an era of college athletics where there's so many examples of the transfer portal and maybe people bouncing around town. There's a lot of things in Harrisonburg that are getting to kind of that family aspect, that connection to the broader traditions of the university. And that speaks to there being, like you said, an alignment, but there's a reason why that alignment occurs. It doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional and deliberate. And that's what's really exciting to see from somebody who covers this team and as a fan of the program. Just any last thoughts from you, Matt, just on the excitement that's building. Again, 13 days from today, there will be a game inside Bridgeforth Stadium, the pageantry, the traditions and everything that come with it, but just the big family reunion that happens in Harrisonburg as well. It's an exciting time.
I can't wait. And I've loved the countdown that you've had over the last couple of weeks. I think from 30 maybe down to 13 now. And it's 17
I'm running
days.
out of videos, by the way. So if you have anything you want me to put up, my text messages are open. So that's an open call to the entire JMU Nation.
No, to me, that this is why we sign up to do what we do, right? It's the reason that fans want to come into the venues. It's the reason that I'm sitting here on a Sunday about to go to new student convocation. We have our first home game tonight, right? True, legit game that's not an exhibition, with women's soccer hosting Liberty, and there's an excitement on this campus. Yeah, and we can't win them all until you win the first, and they did earlier this week on that. So, but no, we love what we do. There's a lot of people, right? And this is kind of going back to what I said at the university welcome, and I can appreciate maybe the feelings that people have about this era of college athletics. It is different, right? But we are going to lean into it because we have no choice but to lean into it. But we also lean into it because it's good for our student athletes. And despite all of that change, right, our student athletes, I think, still represent the best of intercollegiate sports, right? They love this place. They love our fans. They prioritize the right things in their proper order, from academics to their relationships, to being really, really good student athletes, right? Whether that's football players or something else. There are times when we have people leave and we wish them well, but don't feel sorry for us, right? Because there's other people who are going to take their place, who are going to be very, very proud to wear purple, and who are going to put on as good as they possibly can here in 13 days and here tonight and anytime they're competing for JMU, whether that's here or somewhere else. And we're excited about that.
Well, Matt, again, thank you for the investment of your time and energy and passion and creativity, but also what you're doing to empower so many other people around this program to use their creative talents, their treasure and time and energy to also make this program stronger. That's what it's all about. We're better when so many different people are rowing in the same direction, and it feels like we're just on the cusp of something really great. I mean, you got Buc-ee's now. There's just energy around Harrisonburg. I know Taylor Atkins really likes Buc-ee's. I'm contractually obligated, I feel like, at this point, to mention it every time we have an episode. But again, thank you, and we'll see you in 13 days, Matt. And all the best to you. I know there's a lot of probably late nights leading up to game one. And also, but I got to give a shout out. We got Lululemon now. We got, right. I know Michael, I feel like, has bought every new shirt that's the Rowback shirts that are now available. Everyone wants in on the party, new brands associated with. That's got to be a sign that good things are happening.
Oh, it is. And I want to give, again, a ton of credit, right? A lot of people say, hey, that's athletic. That's there's some to do with us, right? But that's Garrett King. That's the JMU Foundation, like always working and trying to do things that are innovative and make this place better. And I love it because our fans love it, right?
Awesome. Yeah, yep. And they're buying them because they're sold out. So that's got to be a really good sign. So I haven't got mine yet. I got to place the order. So lots of different things. But Matt, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. And I know a lot of exciting things will be announced in the days to come. Some surprises to JMU Nation. So thank you for what you're doing, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate everything that you guys do. You make a difference for us, and it's always good to have you, and always good to be on. And let's do it a lot this fall.
Absolutely. All right, go Dukes.
Sounds good. Go Dukes.
All right. And with that, we're going to bring everyone on our Sound Off team into the fold to kind of react to what was a great conversation. Man, guys, That's kind of special. Athletic director on a Sunday switches it up, goes from his car to his office to make sure we can have a great conversation. He's talking about some surprises. Lots of good things happen in the Harrisonburg, and you can see the smile on his face. That's a man who knows we have an exciting fall on tap.
I was going to say, I was like, we're 2 weeks away from game one, and I'm just like even more excited and just like energized after that conversation. And I want to double down on what he said. Like the school and the athletic program is leaning into it, right? I think he said that a couple of times, leaning into this. And I feel like just like in business, right? Like you have to be innovative and flexible. And John, like, remember when we started this podcast in 2022 and we were at the Louisville game and we were talking about the DJ atmosphere and like, oh my gosh, JMU needs a DJ. Like that's what we need. Then literally that following fall, what happens? They hire like a director of like fan engagement. Now we have a DJ. We have a new intro. Like it's so crazy to think how nimble this entire administration has been over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, and it's so much more than just the big things. That to me has been what I've been so impressed with, is that they're finding every little possible nugget to enhance the student experience, to enhance the athlete experience. There's been conversation. We joked around about it for a while with smoothies, and now we have smoothies for the football players. There's obviously some of the biggest brands in all of clothing are now working with JMU. You've got some aquatics feature coming into the student section this year, like a splash pad water feature. It can be kind of hot in the student bleachers. So it's being creative, looking for new and enhanced ways to make every aspect of this program just a little bit better. And when you do that, that makes fans want to come back. And that's why I think you're seeing, outside of just the hype and the excitement for this team on the field, there are other reasons why people are saying, you know what, I haven't been back to Bridgeforth Stadium, but I heard about this cool thing that's happening around this program. I'm going to take my first trip back. And I've said this before. I have some neighbors on my street that, they put a JMU flag on their house or a sticker on their car, but they haven't been back to a game in a while. They're going to games this year. And they're not as diehard, where it's the reason they're going is because of an exciting game on the schedule. They're going just because they've heard from other people that it's a ton of fun, and that breeds new groups of new fans. They have a good experience. Maybe they buy season tickets for the first time. Maybe they get a mini pack, or maybe they're going on some of the third-party sites to make sure that they get their ticket. I mean, we've already seen the demand around Parents' Day weekend, what those tickets are going for. And that's an exciting thing for this entire athletics program, because it enhances every one of the sports on campus when they see this type of energy. Afton, I know you've been around campus. You were helping out the basketball program this summer with some of their camps. The electric energy around this program, it had to be contagious even when you were there as well.
It really is. The fan engagement is top tier, and that starts with Matt Roan. So it's great he could be on with us. And you can just tell with everything they're doing, Philly cheesesteaks, new sponsors, Southside End Zone, Michael's favorite thing, the East Side, is new seats. Everything is just all fan engagement. It's all going to bring new people, and it's all going to bring the people that you were talking about that maybe have a sticker on the car, haven't been to a game in a while. All that's attractions, and that's all going to make people come back to Bridgeforth, come back to Harrisonburg.
And by the way, I just noticed that you have the new Roback sweatshirt on, by the way. That's give a little turn. That's a pretty sweet looking product. Do you have that one too, Michael? Did you get that one?
I will not confirm nor deny if I have that one also.
Awesome. Hey, and other exciting things are happening, and I want to mention right off the top of the show, because we made a promise to our fans that if you got us to the 500 subscribers on YouTube milestone, we're going to give some giveaways. And so we asked you to prove that you were subscribed to the page, and a bunch of people responded. So I took all of the names of people who posted a screenshot and said that they were subscribed to the page. So I figured, why don't we announce it now? Let those people know who won a $25 gift card to yourpurplenation.com who our winners are. So I'm going to go through the winners. You guys ready to hear? All right. Our first one is Heather Evers. Heather's been a longtime supporter of JMU Sound Off. We always see her commenting on the page. Heather, congratulations. Check your direct messages in the coming hours. We're going to send a link. Hopefully, if it doesn't work out, Carol's helping us with the gift cards. So bear with us. If it doesn't come through, we'll make sure you get it. Don Anderson, I mean, I can't think of anybody who does more work in terms of the bricks and things he's doing to hype up this program. Mr. Don Anderson, you have won yourself a $25 gift card to Your Purple Nation. Jake Nelson, congratulations. You have also won a gift card. Thank you for your support. You're always commenting on our stuff. We appreciate it. Sheldon Gagne. I hope I pronounced that right. This was a randomizer, so I did no selection, no input personally in who got in the war. So Sheldon, you're a winner. And then finally, Georgia Anderson. who's one of our biggest supporters on Facebook. Congratulations to the 5 of you once again: Heather Evers, Don Anderson, Jake Nelson, Sheldon Gagne, and Georgia Anderson. This is just our way of saying thank you to everyone who continues to invest in this podcast. This is just the beginning. We've got giveaways all season long, working with our great group of sponsors who make this show possible. And again, your support of the conversations we have is never taken for granted, and we just want to acknowledge it. So stay tuned. More to come. So guys, last week we went in depth into the offensive side of the football. I thought it was a really great conversation. Just for me, as somebody who, as a part of that conversation and rewatching it, I became more excited as I rewatched the show, because I'm like, wow, the talent really is there in a big way. And now it kind of turned my attention to the defensive side of the football this week. That excitement is only built even stronger inside me, because now you're seeing, not only the experience that's coming back on this unit, but some of the new faces. And Afton, I was going to come to you because you've done some player spotlights this offseason that I know have been really well received, hyping up some of the new players that are coming to Bridgeforth Stadium on the defensive side of the football. Just high level, when you were doing your kind of prep for those player spotlights, what was it about this group that had you excited? And is there any maybe theme that's come through this group that has you saying, man, this group could be pretty special going into the new season?
Yeah, and an ongoing theme I kept seeing was just experience. Everybody has played in big-time games, and maybe if it's not big-time games, they've played. They've started. They've done it. They've been there, done that, and it's just going to bring a whole nother level to this year's team, because everybody's done it. Everybody on this team, especially the secondary, I'd say, they've all played in big-level games. They've all produced at big-level schools, and it's just going to be a good combo. Combo.
And that was something that Coach Chesney has mentioned in a number of his conversations, was that their approach this year when they were going into the portal and looking at how to build this roster was to not necessarily go for the kids that had the most stars. It was to find kids who they believed were on an upward trajectory, guys who had played a lot of football, and now not only having such a familiarity with what talent they had coming back from last year's roster, that allowed them to be more selective and to have a better understanding of the new talent that's coming in. Michael, any high-level themes before we go through the position groups that you've seen from the names that have come in to Harrisonburg, either from the portal or the players who are coming back, in terms of what this defense is looking like as they head into 13 days away from game one?
Yeah, I think the biggest theme, like you mentioned, right, is proven talent. If you've listened to some of the interviews with Dave Riggert and even with our new defensive coordinator, by the way, from Alabama, Coach Hitchler, he said he wanted to bring in players that not only has the experience of giving up the big play in crucial situations, but have also made the big play, right? So they've been there, they've done that, they've played meaningful snaps. And also, we're deep, man. I'm looking at all these different positions, 4, 5, 6 players deep. And also, just like I've been tweeting and we've been tweeting off Sound Off for years, it all starts up front. And we've built this team literally from the inside out as you look at how many quality players we brought in. And also, this Coach Fisher was also talking about how he wants this team to play fast. Last year, I thought we had so many turnovers, we had so many sacks, but I felt like when we needed a crucial play, sometimes there was a hesitation. We couldn't play fast. We may be thinking too much. He wants these guys to run and go, see ball, seek ball, find ball. It's really exciting, right? And you talk about a defensive coordinator here too that just looks – he kind of has that old school JMU oil and vinegar mindset, going to hit you in the face. You're going to hear him on the sideline. I'm really excited about this defense, and I'm excited about the type of players that can rotate throughout. I think they're going to be fresh and ready to attack in the field.
So looking at some of the names on this defensive front, so it's a 4-2-5 front, correct? If I have it right, based off my understanding. I know Chandler could probably give more of an in-depth analysis of what the defensive framework is going to be for this year. But there are some names that are familiar to us. Obviously, Emmanuel Bush is a man that needs no introduction, kind of just an imposing force in the center of that defense, who's now coming into his own as a leader. But I'm going to ask both of you, who's a name that you're looking at now on this defensive line that you think is poised to make a major impact going into the year? Afton, I'll start with you. Who kind of stands out in this list of players that you're like, man, I can't wait to see him in 13 days?
I'd say Xavier Holmes. He's following the same footsteps as Kyrie Mans coming from Maine. Both defensive ends, both big. I think he's going to be really disruptive. It's going to be big for us. Maybe he can turn out to be like Kyrie Mans or maybe Eric O'Neal, right? Just everywhere, flying the football and just getting it done.
And Michael, I know there's been a name this week that got some attention. In Aiden Gobira from Notre Dame coming in now, somebody who is had to take an ineligibility because of an injury situation, but now is finding his way to Harrisonburg with an opportunity to continue his college football career. What should fans look for to see from him? Because this could be one of the situations where you get a player that maybe is kind of a diamond in the rough and had all the talent coming out of high school, just couldn't put it together in his last stop, but has a chance to do so now here in Harrisonburg.
Yeah, it's a good mix, right? Afton mentioned, Xavier Holmes, right? Proven talent, 3 or 4 year starter, all conference player. And then contrast to that is Aiden Gobira, former top 10 recruit from Northern Virginia, former 4-star recruit, 6'5", 260 pounds, longer than anyone else you've seen on the team, twitchy player, boomer bust type, right? And I think it's really good that Coach Chesney, Coach Daniels have found sort of like this balance of proven talent as well as like high ceiling players. So I think he's going to be exciting. He'll probably be there in contention, right, for one of the defensive end spots. I'll also talk about a Turner Schmidt, defensive end from Robert Morris. I think as a redshirt sophomore coming in, comes in with 5 or 6 sacks from the year before, played for Dave Plungus, our new linebackers coach at Robert Morris, meaningful snaps. I think we held off a couple of SEC schools there at the end in terms of his services. I'm really excited for him to come in as possibly defensive end number 3 or 4. Right? You think about Amar Thomas coming back. He's a 3rd-year player from Maryland, sort of follows sort of like the classic Maryland defensive ends that we've had over the last few years that have been really dominant. I think he's going to step up. And you look at Sahir West from Baltimore. I think he came in at like 6'1", 230. Now he's 6'4", 255, 260 pounds. Traveled with the team last year. Extremely explosive. And you saw him in the spring game just wrecking havoc on the outside. And we haven't even talked about the defensive tackles, right? You've got Emmanuel Bush. We brought in Kelsbus from Louisiana Tech. A Terry Lockett that's had a year to repair his shoulder from a year ago coming in from Syracuse. Michael McMullen from the 757. He's been in the rotation for the last 2 years. And I'll tell you an underrated player who I personally am very excited to watch play, Andrew Tadeo. All-conference, all-Patriot League player from Colgate, was a 3-year starter, comes in with have a year with 6 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, probably vying for that 4th or 5th spot on the defensive tackle line. You're talking about like hockey line adjustments, right? Being able to spell the Emmanuel Bushes, the Gobiras, the Schmitz. You're talking about like some serious depth here that we've never seen before. And I think that's also your shift from like FCS to FBS, is having that legitimate 2nd or 3rd stringers that are just like the ones.
Well, and something that stood out to me, I remember when Chandler went to the coaches clinic, he said that they kept harping on how excited they were about some of these younger players who were either freshmen last year or redshirt freshmen who are now coming into their sophomore seasons and are now really pushing to contribute as well. And that adds to that depth. And just now there's this pipeline of talent that as this roster continues to evolve, I personally has me really excited, because if they're excited about some of these younger players, that is just going to continue to breed competition for what this team could be. I want to ask both of you, is there either a player who hasn't been mentioned that you're excited of seeing, or is there something about this defense that could be potentially different than last year's in terms of the makeup of it? Is there a obviously we had Eric O'Neill, who was such a disrupting force last year on this, but this defensive line, I feel like, is going to have a different approach to success. What does success look like for this unit? And whoever wants to take it.
I think Michael touched on it earlier. I don't think there's going to be any hesitation in this group. I think it's just going to be go get it, go get the quarterback, just fly after the football. When last year, maybe in some big moments, there's a little bit of hesitation. Should I do this? Should I do that? I think this group is just going to be go get it. I don't care about hesitation, just confidence.
Simplifying the game. Yeah.
I'll even add to it. I think if you look across the defensive line, the physical stature and size of these guys, I think all of our defensive ends, 3 deep, are all 6'4" and up. Our defensive tackles, I don't think we've had this sort of like size and width of players, right? Starting with Bush at 348 pounds, but we have a 311-pound backup, and we've got a bunch of these guys that have been in the system now that's gained 10, 15, 20 pounds of good weight under strength coach Grotsky. I think we're just going to see a much more physically dominant defensive line that's going to be able to stonewall offenses versus maybe a year ago, right? You take Eric O'Neal out and you take Kyrie Mans, and there is a bit of a drop off there, right? I think we're going to see more of a consistent pressure from this defensive line from all the way to the fourth quarter. And to that point, finishing games, I think they put a big emphasis on that.
Well, and Chandler put in our chat that we have behind the scenes that one of the points that was made in April is that if you're going to make a mistake, make it going 1,000 miles an hour. Don't hesitate. If you're going to get beat going at full speed, and that's exciting. I think it bodes well, but it also goes to, again, experience, not just with the players on the field, but experience that the coaches have in terms of understanding what they have in this room. So exciting thing from the defensive line. Turning our attention to the linebackers, there's been a lot of buzz, obviously, around Trent Hendrick, as there should be in terms of what he means to this team returning back. But there's been a lot of attention building about some of the other names that are going to be in the linebacker core. First of all, Jacob Dobbs now back as a coach in that unit. That I feel like is an underrated element here because he's a real strong connection to not only this coaching staff, but he was in that locker room last year and can kind of blend that experience of both coach and player. And I think that helps to set a tone as well. Michael, talk about this group and what you're excited to see from.
A really exciting group. I think we're going to run probably a base 4-2-5. You're probably going to see no more than 2 to 3 linebackers there at a time. But to your point, right? Trent Hendrick from Richmond, he's the cornerstone of the defense. He's going to be calling plays. He's the green dot guy. But this is Gannon Weathersby's time to shine. And you got to remember, he came into the program 3 years ago. We signed him late from Georgia. And I remember seeing his tape and thinking, like, this guy is going to be a heat-seeking missile once he figures it out in terms of like when to slow down, when to go 100%, how to read certain plays. But you're talking about a guy that goes 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? And if he's going to make a mistake, he's going to make it looking good at the end of the day. And I've seen him make some fantastic plays. And with Bush taking up a ton of space up front and having Gannon just sort of like scraping over the top, I think it's really exciting. But we've also added some really interesting depth, right? We're bringing a Jaden Studio from Kent State. Kent State's had some trouble over the years, but you're talking about a all conference player, freshman defensive player of the year, I believe, 54 tackles last year, 2 sacks, a leader on that defense, comes in, had a lot of productivity, and gets to develop a little bit at JMU under Coach Plungus. I think he brings a tremendous upside on that side, but also a Drew Spinagati from Holy Cross, 6'3", 250 pounds, 240 pounds, real Northeast guy, if you catch my drift, right? Like very much like chiseled out. I think he had 71 tackles last year, 6.5 for loss, starting for Holy Cross. Again, bringing that experience. And now he's possibly, top 2, top 3, like third. But he comes in spelling both Hendrick and Weathersby and brings that size. I'm really excited. And then he's also got some younger guys in the back end too. So a lot of players to really rotate at this position. But honestly, I think the underrated part is Coach Plungus. You're talking about bringing in a defensive coordinator, former defensive coordinator that's had 5 years running a defense, knows about JMU, has recruited a lot of these Northeastern guys and knows their strengths and weaknesses. I think he's an underrated get for us this past offseason.
Well, and the fact that you're mentioning so many names that could be potentially impactful this season, to me, the most important thing about that is when you look at this schedule, I mean, from start to end, even our FCS game with Weber State, I know the line came out and has us as a multiple point favorite going in, but to all of us who know FCS football, know what Weber State is capable of, that game's going to be a dogfight, no matter what the final score is, as well as you're going towards the end of the season. You're still going to have teams like Washington State that are towards the end of the schedule, and then you're looking further on at a possible Sun Belt Championship appearance, and hopefully beyond that, if we are one of the G5 teams that puts itself in position to have a shot at the playoffs, we're going to need depth at all levels of this defense. And I think that is such a critical piece of this, is now we have that depth in place. Afton, from your read of this roster, whether it's the linebacker group or the secondary, what have you seen that has you excited and believing that the depth is there to help this team be successful?
So for the linebacker group, 2 players that Michael mentioned jump off the page to me, and it's the Holy Cross transfer, Drew Spinagati, and then also Jaden Studio. And Michael touched on it again. He said Kent State maybe hasn't had the best last couple seasons, but Jaden Studio was a true freshman starting for them, one of their best players on the defense. That's impressive. So he's going to have a long time to develop. And then with the Holy Cross transfer, like John said, Jacob Dobbs is back. He played with them. They played together. That's already built-in chemistry, and that's all strategic by Chesney. And then in the secondary, it's my favorite group on this team. I think there's so many names that could jump off the page, so many people like Elijah Culp, Chance Harley, all of them. I think those are the two compare and contrast people. Elijah Culp is someone that's been very productive at Troy, Austin Peay, and Charlotte, right? And then Chance Harley at Maryland. Maybe he hasn't gotten too much playing time, but he's going to try to prove himself, right? And that's the compare and contrast that we got this year with every position group.
Well, and turning our attention to the secondary, Michael, one thing that Coach Chesney mentioned in his media day appearance from media day in Harrisonburg was it needing to have a variety of different body types at corner. You're going to need some of those short, speedy guys. They can go against your slot receivers. You're going to need somebody in the outside with a little bit more length. He talked about needing to replace guys like Chauncey Logan, who transferred on from this program. What have you seen from the makeup physically of this secondary, and what are there things you're either excited about, or are there questions you might have about this group going into the new season?
I'll keep it simple. We're huge. I don't think we've seen a secondary this large, particularly on the outside. And I think it's no surprise. Coach Chesney likes big, long, lanky corners. You think of Terrence Spence last year at 6'2". Chauncey Logan, obviously he's moved on to Memphis, was 6'1". And he said in the offseason, we need to get bigger. All right, we need to get longer. And, Afton mentioned about it. Elijah Culp, I think 6'1", 6'2", over 200 pounds. Chance Harley, 6'1", 6'2", over 200 pounds. Mekhi Rogers comes in from St. Francis, was an All-American FCS player at that level, 6'2", right, over 200 pounds. Again, you're seeing a theme here, right? We're bringing big, solid corners in. And as I think about Coach Hitch, you talk about, he came from, remember when Cincinnati made it all the way to the playoffs, when Wisconsin was there, he was their defensive coordinator, really specializing in like a cover 2 scheme, which you need big corners to jam those receivers up front and also attack the run game. And you think about these big body 22, 23-year-olds coming in. I've never seen it, right? Even when we had the Jimmy Morelands, the D'Angelo Ponds, those were 5'8", 5'9", 170-pound corners that could fly. But these are corners that, in my mind, are able to jam receivers and really let the defensive line go and eat, right? So I think that's from the corner spot. From safety, we're really excited about this group. And I think about the defense, really building it from sort of like the inside out, surrounding the defense with really top line players. Obviously, JT comes back, huge comeback player there. I think he's a fantastic. I think he's an NFL body. I think he's going to play in Sundays sooner or later. Tyler Brown, who started as a true freshman at the bowl game. I think he's well beyond his years. I wouldn't be too worried with a true sophomore out here, especially with a Tyler Brown. You bring in guys like a TJ McGill, who was an All-American player from William and Mary, starter for them. I think he had 61 tackles, 1 interception, 4 pass breakups. We know, right, what top-layer FCS talent would look like at this level. And you look at like a Curtis Harris-Lopez, right, 2-year starter from Holy Cross, again, 55 tackles, 9 for loss, and 2 interceptions last year on our Holy Cross defense. You get really excited, right? And you're rotating these guys. You're bringing them in for nickel situations, maybe disguising coverages. Again, following sort of like that proven talent formula. I'm just really pumped to see what these guys flying around making plays.
Well, and the thing for me about what you just mentioned, and whether it was you or Afton, you cited a lot of stats. You're talking 72 tackles, multiple interceptions, pass breakups, forced fumbles. These are guys who have done it under the lights. Our coaching staff has tape on them, but when you perform at that level, you have confidence that you just can't teach. And it doesn't matter the level of competition you're playing against. You play in between the lines against the opponents you have. And that's why I'm excited about this group, is that it's not a lot of guys who, might have been a 4-star coming out of high school, but sat on a Power 5 roster for 2 seasons and are transitioning down. And if we would be having a conversation right now being like, man, they could be this or they could be that, they actually have tangible statistics and tape to say they've done it, and they've done it against good competition. And that's why I personally, I was saying this to a couple of people this week, I feel like I'm more excited about this season than any season that I've been excited to. It's probably maybe 2017. I feel like is the last time I was this pumped about a season.
Well, think about this too, right? We haven't even talked about him yet. DJ Barksdale comes back. Remember him, 2023. If you remember that defense, we were either going to sack the quarterback or we were going to give up a touchdown. He had to play as a true freshman. I was at the Utah State game, and he had to recover on this long ball. They ended up scoring a touchdown, but I remember being like, man, we've got a true freshman out there. Balls out last year, comes back in the slot. Like, I think he's gained 10 or 15 pounds. He's gotten thicker. Also, like a Chase Regan comes back too. Remember we signed him. He ran like a 4.3 in high school, played special teams. Now he's a sophomore.
Yeah, and he was mentioned by Coach Kanan this week as somebody who, made his mark on special teams and has now gained the confidence of the staff and puts himself 100%. In a position to be even more of a contributor this year.
So you're just talking about like a ton of players. We even talk about Ken Willis, right? Ken Willis played for Coach Hitch at Cincinnati, was a 4-year player, played all over the place there. So you're bringing in familiarity, you're bringing older players, and you're also bringing in different bodies, right? We also have a Kai Holmes who's known to be a headhunter, right, in the backfield as well. So we have a lot of players that can do a lot of different things for this staff, and they can make plays. So I think it's interesting, right? You've got the defensive line, 6, 7, 8 players deep. You've got the safety position, which is a critical component of this defense in the 4-2-5 with 9 or 10 players. I think it'll be really cool to see what the defensive staff starts sort of like mixing and seeing who comes in, who plays kind of a joker position, who's going to be running safety, all that good stuff. I think it's just really exciting to see what this team can do.
Are you guys seeing now in the players we're bringing in a reaction now to being in the Sun Belt for multiple seasons? So now we know what a Sun Belt campaign is like. We know what Sun Belt talent is like. And that has to be now influencing the types of players we're bringing in, what our game scheme looks like, because you can't teach experience. Now our coaching staff knows, especially Bob Chesney, now this would be a second go around of what it takes to be successful in the Sun Belt. Are you seeing that in the types of players we're bringing in now?
Yeah, I think they know, the coaches know after last year, it's going to be a dogfight. Every game, it's hard. So they're getting that type of player with a chip on their shoulder. And one player we didn't mention yet is KJ Flo. He's a nickel, right? He got really good playing time as a true freshman last year. And he's exactly that type of player. Like he knows he knows exactly what it takes. And I think so do all the transfers we brought in. So it's everybody who's returning. I think Chesney knows this and just trying to get people with chips on their shoulder. Depth,
and that's going to matter. It also gives our coaching staffs a lot of options to be versatile, to be creative, and that's something that they may not have had as much last year just with all the transition. I did want to turn our attention really quickly to special teams because I thought this week was really interesting as a part of Media Day. Something we never saw with Coach Signetti, but we are seeing with Coach Bob Chesney is a chance to hear from all of the coordinators. We got a chance, if you haven't had a chance, to check out the JMU Sports YouTube page. You can see the full interviews from all of the coordinators, but I paid special attention to the interview with Coach Kanan where he took real responsibility for some of the challenges that we had in the punt game, for example, from last year, that there were just some things that happened towards the end of the season that led to that being a real storyline with the number of block punts we experienced, and how excited he is to have this group in place. And he said they kind of stripped it down to its foundation and looked at every aspect of how we're doing special teams, but that now there are real depth on this program, and there are guys who are coming into their own in terms of being real special teams contributors who now see that as a pathway to having success on the field in their broader contributions. Starting with having a left-footed kicker. We mentioned that in the first episode. I said I was really excited about having a punter and the impact that could have on offense, but the impact that can now also have on the defensive side of the field, being able to pin guys in deep, being able to give our defense the best possible position to be successful, is having the offenses backed up against their own goal lines. Michael, this is an exciting group. For that perspective alone, is that the quality of player coming on special teams has to have us all excited, because we saw last year, whether it's the block punts against UNC, the moments where these special teams had a positive impact, it can be a game changer.
I couldn't agree more. And I think going through and just naming all those DBs, naming all those linebackers, goes back to your point, is like you have quality players all over special teams. The Chase Regans that had to play as a true freshman, now as a true sophomore and such, you're filling those kickoff returns, punt blocks with those types of players. Super exciting. And then also Patrick Rea, like you had mentioned, from Louisiana Tech, he's an athlete. Let's forget about it. He's not only a left-footed kicker, a left-footed punter. Sorry, can't speak English today. Yeah, but he's got some sneaky athleticism, and any true JMU fan knows what type of component that can bring from the defense, whether you're rushing left, rushing right, doing sort of that rugby style kicking, and he's got a cannon as well. So I think that's really exciting. And I don't know if y'all heard, but Morgan Suarez, the kicker from FAU, in an era of transfer portals and an era of NIL, he goes, I was at FAU for 3 or 4 years and I didn't win. And I wanted to come to a place to win. And that's a kicker, right? And you're looking at a guy, I think he's also a left-footed kicker too, big leg, has kicked in multiple crazy situations, but he wanted to come to a place where he's going to win for his last year. And I think that's, I don't know, that just speaks volumes for a program going into its 4th or 3rd year in FBS.
Well, and Coach Kanan also mentioned we have depth at both kicking positions as well. We've got multiple punters. We've got left-footed and right-footed. We've got the same on the field goal position too. As we've seen really over the course of the last few years, we've seen to always have a kicker injury as well that we need to at the course of the year, whether a guy's leg gets tired. Being able to have depth in that position can be an underrated piece of the puzzle in terms of if you're going to be successful or not. And that to me is something that I think this unit is poised to really take a next step, because that was something, remember, when Coach Chesney came into this program, we were very excited about the possibilities on special teams. And we saw it early on last year, the impact could make. But as you mentioned earlier, Michael, we need to be able to sustain it over time, just like we need to sustain first half success into the second half. We need to do that throughout the arc of the season. And the bodies they've brought in here seem like we're in a better position to do so. Afton or Michael, whoever, the kick coverage game as well is something I know we wanted to highlight today. Those return coverage units, as well as the guys who are going to be returning kicks and punts. What do you expect to see from that aspect of special teams as well?
I think it's going to be really explosive. When you talk to the coaches, they like to talk about Braden Wilowski, right? And they talk about his fast twitch. And they say the same thing with Mike Scott. So both of them, they were saying, has just these fast twitches that even without a ton of film, mainly for Braden Wilowski at Maryland, when he had that huge kick return against UVA for a touchdown, I think it was like 97 yards, right? They saw the speed, they saw the athleticism, and they're like, we can use that in the slot maybe, punt returning. And then you also have Mike Scott, really fast receiver, right? He could kick return. And then George Pettaway, obviously. He could easily be a really good punt kick return. I think he played some of that last year, I think, and he's just really explosive. You can see it every run he has. It can just be broken for a big run. It's gonna be the same thing in the punt and kick game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you also look at like Wayne Knight back there potentially. I think they had Io Adei there at times last year to really spell the George Pettaways. But I also look at, we talked about KJ Flo and Chase Regan being freshman contributors. I look at like maybe a Kai Cullen. You probably heard that name from Georgia. He's also been known as like the workout weightlifting warrior in the DB room, probably the strongest DB we have coming in as a freshman, but also Roger McWilliams from Richmond, right? 3-star player. I think he played at Benedictine, if I remember correctly. Those are 2 names where I'm like, man, do we see them, right, come in and playing right away? I don't think the staff is going to hesitate to playing true freshmen if they know they can contribute. You mentioned Mikey Scott Afton at that kick returner position, potentially, or punt return. I had that clip of Rashard Davis a couple of days ago, and I was like, this guy sort of brings that level of twitchiness and explosiveness we haven't seen in a while. You're looking at just everything, right? Up-leveling the talent from high school level to the transfers we're bringing in. I think it's sort of Coach Kanan's job of like, okay, where do I put people, right? Like, how do I put people in the right positions to win? And we also, we brought in 2 or 3 long snappers. We brought in the Kennesaw State guy. We still have the Lane College kid from last year that now there's competition there too. So it's just crazy. I think we can name players all day, I feel like.
Well, and I like how Coach Kanan in his messaging this week also said that this group of specialists is not just off on their own. They're really trying to engage with the team during workouts. They're at meals. They want to be, and that was something that Patrick Reyes said in his phone call with Coach Kanan, which he said was one of his best he's ever had on the recruiting trail, was that I want to go to a place where the specialists are part of the team. I want to be a part of the culture. I don't want to just be off to the side. And he said that they have really seen that through camp, and that group really wants to be a leader in terms of seeing the importance that they play, but also being a part of supporting the other players in the field. And no matter what they're going through, they've been very heavily involved in the weight room as well. And something that I know that I've seen from practices, and Chandler mentioned as well, is that there is a special team segment to every practice. You don't always see that. Bob Chesney is heavily involved in those segments. He's doing the drills, and that goes a long message to those kids, showing what why it's so important. If the head coach is going to be as engaged as he is, that is a sign and an indication of why that's so important to this team's overall success. And again, in some of these games against the App States of the world, where we need to get a win this year against them, it's just special teams can really be that, as cliche as it is, that fine line between success and failure, and the investment that the staff is putting in and getting that right seems like a big deal, and something that I know I'm really excited about. Guys, I want to transition because I know we're at the 54-minute mark of the episode. Just kind of recap those kind of defensive strength and things you're excited for and fans should look for in 13 days to seeing. Kind of starting with you, Michael. Just again, that overall high-level theme for what you think you're going to see from this 2025 unit.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see, I hate to say it, right, because this was the motto of the previous staff, but just a fast, fierce, and just like a relentless defense where we're going to be throwing bodies all over the field, looking at 2-3 deep at defensive line, bringing in multiple linebackers and multiple DBs in certain situations, and not seeing any of that drop off, which I think is really exciting. I think also last year, Coach Chesney mentioned those 3 games where we've blown like double-digit leads. It was always 1 or 2 plays, right? A block kick, maybe a missed coverage. There was a momentum shifting play where maybe someone just dropped their coverage, right? Maybe they just played too many snaps, you name it. Now we can have consistent, fresh bodies in there that can really finish out games. I think that's the name of the game right here. And Coach Hitch, been in big games, knows how to call defense. I love the idea of like simplicity, right? Just let these guys run, let them do what they do best, and call it a day from there.
So I want to ask you, Afton, and then Michael, I think we can both answer the same question. Are there any unanswered questions that now we're through 2 scrimmages? Meet the Duke's Day will be next Saturday. And then we're really going to start to turn our attention now to preparing for Weber State. I know Coach Chesney said they already have their game plans for the first few opponents in place, but really camp transitions now. School's about to start. There's a lot more going to be coming at these players. Going to start with you, Afton. What are some of the unanswered questions that you're looking to see, whether it's through the public media availabilities or the video and and media that we receive from the beat reporters as we head towards game 1? Anything in particular stand out?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to you got everybody, right? All the defense, all the offense, but who's going to step up, right? Everything's coming their way. Classes are starting. Games are starting. Fans are getting more engaged. It can be nerve-wracking for anybody, no matter how long you've played college football. But who's going to be the Eric O'Neal? Who's going to come out of nowhere? Who's going to step up? Who's going to go a little harder in every practice, a little harder in every game just to stand out, right? And be that next breakout player that can get to the next level. I think that's the biggest unanswered question to me.
Yeah, I've got 2 pieces here. I think number one, we talk a lot about the players, but I'm excited to see what happens at corner, right? The only player that actually has JMU experience is Justin Eaglin, who I think we saw sort of fall out of the rotation, kind of lost his job last year from what we saw. He's the only one that comes back that had experience in a purple and gold uniform. Like, how good is Mackay? How good is Elijah? How good is Chance, right? How can they step in right away? And the second underrated thing, we saw what happened versus Gardner-Webb. And let's call it what it is. We brought in a lot of players, but a lot of these players, their first time playing at a sold-out Bridgeforth Stadium under the lights in front of 25 ridiculous fans, 25,000. How are they going to show up? So I'm excited that we actually start our season with Weber State coming to Bridgeforth, starting at home. How quickly can we get some of the jitters out? How quickly can we get the butterflies out? You come out of the tunnel, maybe you're just like hocked up on adrenaline and you're just too excited to play. How quickly can we adjust? Because it's going to be a lot of these players. They're going to be wide-eyed and seeing all these the craziness, the pageantry of JMU football. How quickly can we get over that and play football fast?
I think the thing I'm most excited to look for in game 1 and beyond is what do we see from Coach Kennedy in year 2 as offensive coordinator? I think obviously he grew as a coordinator last year, and with all the change and transition and not having as much time to know what's on his roster. Now that he has a year under his belt, with all of the versatility he has in the receiver room, obviously we've talked last week about the depth we have at running back, and now having so many different types of quarterback available at his kind of disposal to be able to use, whether Alonzo is ready for week 1 or not, having the type of player that Sluka is, Camden Coleman. There's just a lot out there for this coaching staff to be able to deploy in creative ways. And I'm excited to see how Coach Kennedy builds an offense around the players he has, not the players he doesn't have. So excited for that. And now mentioning how Chelsea's recruiting a lot of these transfers on defense while at Holy Cross. He knows those personnel. He understands what they're going to bring, and I think that's exciting. And then finally, halftime adjustments. How can this staff, take one of the negatives from last season, which was we were awesome out of the gate. We were firing all cylinders. I took the foot off the gas a little bit. I know they've highlighted the strength and conditioning program being a part of that, and they believe that they've gotten that, kind of in a better position than we were last year. But those are my kind of three, points that I want to see in the early going of the season for how we've evolved and how we've grown as a program, because I think that is going to make a big difference in terms of if we're going to get to the level that I think we all want to get to in 2025, but also can we match the hype that's coming from outside this program as well. I did want to ask kind of maybe an off-topic conversation before we wrap the show. What are you most excited about tailgates this year? Because we're 13 days from tailgates. Michael, I know, are you back in Convo this year again? What do you got on tap for tailgates? And then I'm going to go to you, Afton, with, I know your dad has always got some sort of new menu item plan for his tailgates. What's exciting for you, Michael? What are you ready for?
Yeah, I'll be back in Convo again. I think, I'm excited to get the gang back together. Also, I've been trying some fun, like barbecue recipes, maybe mixing it up with some Korean barbecue, some new meats.
If you're doing Korean barbecue up in Convo, I'm coming to Convo this year. I don't make it up there as much as I want to, but if there's Korean barbecue on tap, I'm making the trek through the tunnel and heading up to Convo.
Oh, please do. Please do.
Awesome. Afton, I know your dad and now your brother and the whole Sadamount family known for their tailgating prowess. Any new menu items in store for people who make their way over to FLOT this year?
Week 1 menu just got leaked yesterday.
Okay. What do we got on tap?
Steak tacos against Weber State.
Is he using the Blackstone for that? Is he using the Blackstone?
Honestly, I don't know. He always said, I was like, what are we having? He was like, Mexican. We're having Mexican.
There you go. All right.
And then for Louisiana, jambalaya,
So I've had your dad's jambalaya. It's amazing. It's good stuff. Chandler in the background, what are you excited about for tailgating? I'm just going to hand the mic to you. You're not even on camera. What's Chandler Fortune's thing he's looking for the most in tailgating this year?
Honestly, I think just the atmosphere and getting the Duke Walk. I mean, I think that's just such an underrated part of the tailgate is just that whole atmosphere and the Duke Walk, the energy, feeding off the guys. I'm so pumped, ready to go.
I wanted to make him wildly uncomfortable. He did not want to be on camera today, so I have to force it on him a little bit. I have to say the thing I'm most excited to see, and I don't even know if this is out there yet, but have you guys seen any of the images of the Football Alumni Association tailgate setup that they have coming for this year? It's like a double-decker. I mean, I feel like
the spring game. It looked amazing at the spring game.
So imagine that in game week form. I feel like that's going to be an electric atmosphere. Obviously, from us at JMU Sound Off, we're going to be doing some exciting things with our friends from Where's Woody. We're going to have tons of giveaways at tailgates. Afton's going to be out putting together some fun social content, top 5 list, top 5 tailgate, this and that. We're also going to be highlighting, again, as we mentioned in the intro, with our friends from the Dead Meat Society, some of the top tailgates around Bridgeforth Stadium. So we're going to be going out into the lots. We're going to be trying to find some of those tailgates that stand out amongst the crew. We're going to be doing giveaways to those tailgates, but also going to be bringing those, the video and the pictures, the images from those tailgates right in here into our episodes. So I hope you guys notice we've enhanced our intro to the show. We're going to be making that a living intro throughout the season. So we're going to be weaving in some new video from every game, but we're going to also incorporate some of the best that we see at tailgates this year. Just an exciting time. I know I'm starting to get text messages from a ton of people about away games, what's happening at Louisville, what's happening at Liberty. I got a message yesterday from our friend Don Anderson talking about making the trip to Texas State. So lots of exciting things happening, and that countdown just continues to dwindle down. We're going to be in single digits soon, and that means football's right around the corner, and then the gauntlet starts for all of us. So hydrate, rest up a little bit. I know schools are starting tomorrow in many parts of Virginia. I know my daughter's going to middle school, which is crazy, which means the gray hair underneath this hat is there for good reason. So exciting times, guys. Any final thoughts? I know, Afton, you and I will be up at Meet the Dukes Day. Michael, are you going to make the trip up too?
We'll see. I'll be. I've got a work trip out in Dallas. I might be down in Texas.
That's it. I know Taylor will be up there for that. He'll be back into the fold next week. But lots of exciting things around Bridgeforth Stadium, guys. Another great episode. Next week, we're going to be turning our attention to Weber State, which it's crazy. It's a game week. So eyes on the prize. Got to hit the gym, hit the streets, whatever we're doing to power up for a season of covering football. We're going to do it. I know Chandler's got high school football around the corner. He's He's a big.
I was going to say, shout out to Chandler. We didn't say it last time, but isn't he like the new O-line coach at Manchester? Like, gotta give that some props.
Manchester's a program that puts a lot of talent. So if we don't start seeing some recruits coming from Manchester to JMU in the years to come, we will all know who to blame. So big pressure on Chandler Fortune. Hearing he's already being considered as like an offensive coordinator candidate, man, there is hype. The hype train has left the building at Manchester High School. But guys, Afton, congratulations, man. First show as a host. Good work. It's only up from here. What's on tab? Anything exciting for this week in either player spotlights or top 5? What are you working on in the background? I know there's something in the editing suite.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of comments on the latest top 5. It was like, where's the Virginia Tech game? And I was kind of like,
all right, justify your, because I backed you on this one.
But it gave me an idea. I was like, maybe top 5 best upsets, you know?
Okay. What was your rationale for not putting them in? Because I think your logic was sound there. I'm going to give you the floor to say why they weren't on the list.
To me, I was 2, right, or 1. But I've rewatched the game. I rewatched it.
Enough.
It was boring. It was a boring game. The only thing crazy about it to me was that we won. That was it. Nothing else was crazy. Nothing crazy happened. Nothing. It was just that we won. So I think that would just be an upset, right? Just a crazy upset.
Fair enough. The best part about you saying you were 2 is I remember hearing Chandler. I remember citing things that weren't too long ago, and Chandler saying he was 5 or 6 when that happened. So man,
I was like in college. I mean, Afton, what in the world? I was a sophomore, and you're like, oh, 2 years old.
I was married. He's watching Nickelodeon and God, I probably wasn't even watching Nickelodeon. I don't know what 2-year-olds were watching back then. Just Michael, man,
time is flying. Time is flying by.
Although you still have the color in your hair and everything, so you're aging gracefully. So I don't know what excuse I have to make, but man, craziness. Guys, another great episode. We're going to highlight our sponsors one more time. Skyline Financial Partners, the Dead Meat Society, Champions Drive, Where's Woody, Your Purple Nation, Shoker Enterprises, Outdoor Kitchen Creations. We said it right this week. Sorry, Brandon Hendrick. I called it Outdoor Kitchen Solutions. That's not your company. It's Outdoor Kitchen Creations. We're so grateful to everyone for being a part of this program. We're only getting started. Lots of exciting things to come. Follow our YouTube account. Congratulations to our 5 winners. Check your DMs over the days to come. We're going to be getting you those gift cards with many, many, many more things coming in the weeks to come. And with that, guys, we'll be back next week for another episode of JMU Sound Off. And with that, we end every episode with the same way. Go Dukes. Talk to you soon.
Go Dukes.